Welcome back, everybody. You are watching Rivals Fight Night, where OG was just taken down by the triple Lokis. That's right, the Green Gargoyles. The Naughty Boys up top doing damage. It's going to be Oblivione. Moving on to our finals of Vast and ZP, our casters for tonight. And for anyone who missed last week, they're in for a treat because Virtus.pro took home our first ever EU title of Vast. Not only did they do it, they did it in 4 straight games, dominating Peps.
I mean, Virtus.pro is the team to beat in EU right now, and if there was a team that maybe has the flexibility that's necessary, it's Ex Oblivione right now. After watching their last match, there's a chance, but they're coming up against players that might be just the best in the world on their roles, in particular like Sparker on that Winter Soldier, which is just a dominant meta pick, so omnipresent, so just overpowered almost when he's on that hero. So I do think it's going to be a bit of a challenge here because Virtus.pro have looked incredibly good.
I will say Demon played his heart out on Winter Soldier, but Sparker's on another level. He's got 3 characters in the top 10. If you're looking at our global leaderboard, he will be one of the star duelists in this match playing for Virtus.pro. Let's take a look, though, at our full rosters because Virtus.pro have some OGs of hero shooters. On the far left, you'll see Finzi and Nevix. The Icelandic Swede combo was in everybody's face last week. ZP, what should we know about the core of this lineup?
I mean, I think you said it at the beginning, right? It's just experience. This is a lineup where if you followed hero shooters for any length of time, these are people that have played at the highest levels of competition, and clearly based on Virtus.pro's performance here in Marvel Rivals, they haven't really lost a step, right? Like, Nevix has been doing this for 10 years. Nevix was literally the first hero shooter broadcast I ever did. That is how long back it goes, and I've been doing this for a long time, but I think I could also just add on to the fact that you look at the strategist end, right? Players like Saipe, incredibly consistent. You give them characters like Loki, where you just have so much room for skill expression and how you manage your clones, how you time your regeneration domains. It's just, there's so many avenues that Virtus.pro is just able to sort of flex their experience, whether it be in ultimate economy management, whether it be in how you actually position to take fights, how you actually coordinate to go in on fights. Overall, there's just a little bit of a clear difference between them and the rest of the teams that we've seen so far in EU, but Ex Oblivione also looked really strong, so I'm excited to see how this one pans out.
I want to say a shout out to Scumbag Finzi. In 3 of my last 5 games where I was playing Conquest, somebody has blocked my spawn with Portal, so thank you, Finzi, for teaching the world that it can be done regularly. Avast, let's talk about Ex Oblivione because they have such a deep lineup. We don't know who they will start. One thing we know for sure, though, is they're not going to let Groot play against them tonight.
And Virtus.pro, I mean, they love playing Groot. They really do love playing Groot. Especially with the Nevix. So, I mean, I think that Ex Oblivione might just continue the trend here, but overall, I mean, the roster is looking pretty comfortable across a variety of different compositions, maybe finally bringing the Thing into more play into EU. Obviously, they weren't the only people ever playing Thing in the region, but the region typically loved Venom, and so I think seeing some more of that from Forever has been really nice. So it's going to be just, like I said before, the test for Virtus.pro is, are they still going to be the most dominant team in the region, or are they going to be able to be mortal here versus Ex Oblivione, which is a team that obviously we haven't seen a lot of up until today, but this is kind of their explosive moment.
CP walked me through this lineup. For anyone joining us for the first time, Ex Oblivione just won the Challengers matchup. It took them 5 maps, though, to get it done. Throughout that grueling series against OG Esports, who stood out? Who are you looking forward to seeing once again?
I mean, for me, I want to see more Passivo on the Magneto, where to me, I look back at where things really changed up for Ex Oblivione in the map is where they decided we're going to do a roster swap. We're going to bring in Passivo. They got him on the Magneto. They teamed up with Forever on the Thing, and they were able to break through and counter what was originally a very strong Venom comp that just gave them all sorts of fits. And I think the other thing you should know here, too, is that you're not looking at 6 players for Ex Oblivione. They have a very deep lineup where they are rotating who is playing what based on the map. And it's, as we mentioned at the start of the program, it's difficult to do this effectively. A lot of teams have tried this in the past, and it doesn't really work out because you're just not getting good practice for your players in a lot of situations. But Ex Oblivione, really good coaching, I think, to make it work, because they're able to take down who many people consider to be the #2 team in Europe in OG esports. So the fact that they're making this large roster actually be effective and they're changing up between map to map is really cool to see.
I have to say, they've been one of the most exciting teams to watch, especially in that match against OG esports, seeing the stalls coming out as it looks like the checkpoint's just about to come through. The last second stall, the whole team rallies behind it. They've been scrappy to get here. The question is, can you stay scrappy against a squad like Virtus.pro, who loves to steamroll? We've got another best of 5 coming. The maps and modes being selected by our captains in just a moment. Avast, walk me through, as it looks like Hell's Heaven will be our first domination to kick things off.
Well, as a reminder, I mean, we always start on domination right here on Rivals Fight Night, so it's going to be a very constant thing for those who are just tuning in for the first time. But I think we're probably, I wouldn't be surprised to see Thing come out again right off the bat here, because Hell's Heaven a lot of room for Thing to be charging through with the anti-street charge, get leaping to the teammates, giving that damage reduction. You get a ton of cleave with his right click with that stone haymaker. So I wouldn't be surprised if maybe similar comps that we just saw on their match versus OG coming out of here again for Ex Oblivione. And for Virtus.pro, I would be shocked if they're not going to potentially just run some double shield with a Winter Soldier, with Sparker.
Yes.
I mean, they have like a bread and butter. They know what they like. Maybe they try to get the Groot in there as well, because Ex Oblivione seems like they haven't really been wanting to try to play into the Groot at all. They don't even want the Groot in on the field, because it is someone that can kind of just mitigate some of the value from, you know, vanguards that get a ton of cleave damage like the Thing, and to also just block out and just remove a lot of the space that's given to them for that charge. So it could be possible as well for Virtus.pro.
ZP, in the one game they were allowed to run Adam Warlock, it was that game 5, and they won it. Do you expect to see more Adam Warlock if he gets through the ban phase?
I think you do, right? Is that because, again, there's clearly Scrimbuck data there coming in from OG. There's a reason why they opened up with all the Adam Warlock bans. However, if you're VP, I guess it's kind of a matter of how much do you take it away because you know they're good with it, versus how much do you want to tailor ideal compositions for how you want to play. And I think for a team as good as Virtus.pro, historically at times, this is a type of team that might just be like, we're just going to play our style, because when we play our style, we don't lose. We don't really care what you're going to come in with. But if they don't ban the Adam Warlock and Ex Oblivione comes in, plays the Warlock, and it's effective and they win, then I think that's where you'll see VP shift into be more on the realm of target bans and getting rid of what Ex Oblivione is good at. The one thing here, though, that I'd like to see from Ex Oblivione in turn is, we know that there's certain parts of VP that are ridiculous, like Sparker on the Winter Soldier. I don't think they need to play Winter Soldier for Ex Oblivione. They've shown they have so many different looks. Just get rid of the Winter Soldier to start with here. That's what I'd like to see from Ex Oblivione.
I can't wait for you to witness the rest of Sparker's hero pool. It's gonna be a massacre if you ask the chat. Shout out to everyone tuning in. Reminder, if you like this show, you can support us here at Rivals Fight Night by dropping a follow. Do the subscribe button if you're over on YouTube. And if you're following us on Twitter, hit the sub and follow button as well. Every sub helps us get a step closer to being partnered here on Twitch, and we are ready to get game number 1 on the way. The Venom, our first band coming out of Ex Oblivione, saying, please do not dive us, Virtus.pro.
Also the Hella Bean band as well. Okay, so I was about to say that makes. I mean, honestly, it's still relatively confusing either way, but I mean, Ex Oblivione, they definitely could play Venom, so I mean, it's definitely something that they can remove from the table. The Hella Bean band, I don't mind it. It depends on what, essentially, I guess they just don't want to remove the team up, because you probably know Saipe will likely play Loki. What does that mean?
That means they didn't protect anything.
No, nothing's been protected? Okay.
That was either they were asleep at the wheel or an intentional choice. You do have the option to just not protect anything.
Sure?
Yeah, but Winter Soldier gonna get protected, and that means Sparker gets to play what he wants to play.
Hey, mad respect to Ex Oblivione, said, we will play everything. We don't need to protect anything. You make the game, we'll play it. After the Winter Soldier is locked in for Sparker, now you're gonna go for a ban that counters the best player on Ex Oblivione, ZP, or are you trying to remove a team up?
Well, they decided to just get rid of Wolverine. I think this goes back to the idea of they have a certain style they want to play, and they just don't want to deal with Wolverine. Also, I do think this is a little bit of a reach, but I do think there's wisdom in not doing a protect, potentially, is that if you think the other team has limited info, by doing your protect, you give away the composition that you might actually want to run. So if you don't give the protect, they don't know what to ban and turn to ruin the composition you want to run on. So
That's the excuse I'm using next time I'm in a game and forget to hit the button of Vast.
Yeah, I was protecting the info. Me being away from my keyboard, going to get drinks from the fridge. Guys, I'm protecting the info. I'm protecting the info. It's okay. It's okay, everyone.
We have game number 1 predetermined. We're going to Hell's Heaven. If you're just tuning in, Domination is going to be the first of 2 rounds. We have different stages, and with each stage, different comps are going to have an advantage. But the Ban and Protect's locked in, though. I think we have an idea of the comps we'll be seeing from Virtus.pro. What will Ex Oblivione, our challenger, bring to the table? That's the question I have, ZP. And it looks like this map is ready to kick off. So once again, if you're enjoying the show, hit that follow button, hit the subscribe. And with 20 seconds left, let me give you a quick reminder over on Marvel Rivals Fight Night, aka rivalsfightnight.com. We have a giveaway with Intel a Core Ultra 9 285K CPU. If you want free gear, all you got to do, head over to our website. I'll drop it in the chat.
You know, Vast, all I gotta say is I love Intel. They are just the absolute best in the gaming space, just sponsoring cool things and giving out even better gear. They are the best. But getting into it, we got Sparker on the Winter Soldier, no surprise. But again, you look at compositions here, 1 Vanguard for Ex Oblivione to kick things off.
I mean, on a previous point, you could say we were protecting the intel ourselves. We were also protecting the intel there. But I do think that the triple strategies here yet again from Ex Oblivione with Andreko on the Adam Warlock. It's pretty much giving not only a ton of sustain, but also a lot of damage. You get a similar damage from a duelist from your Adam Warlock if you're hitting your shots, right? And so they're just going to try to rely on having the extra sustain. But unfortunately, the sustain was definitely not enough for Pasuo, who was immediately taken down.
Sustain, you say? Well, there's 4 people just knocked out. Not much to sustain there. Sparker on the cleanup. I mean, they did get some members of VP low in the start there. I don't think that fight was quite as brutal as the ending may have suggested, but the results are still quite brutal. Very quick early take by Virtus.pro.
And I think having the Loki and having also the Namora here for Virtus.pro, it's going to provide some issues for Ex Oblivione. Because yes, you can fight for the flanks. You will have Nocturne to be able to counterfy here just a bit. But Saipe is a Loki player, and just in general, Loki, if you're hitting your shots, you do a lot of damage on Loki, especially when you have the multiple clones up, the multiple, those copies. So I do think it's something that I have to be worried about, is that Saipe can just duel really, really effectively if you don't have a Vanguard to just push them out or just shield the damage.
Soulbond invested, again, kind of like a mini ultimate as far as Adam Warlock is concerned, but even with the Soulbond used, Nocta caught early in the Namor versus Namor battle. And you're down 1, Virtus.pro is looking completely healthy, and Sparker just drops down the Kraken impacts, it's time to go. Response could be here from Ex Oblivione. They actually decided to use Fate of Both Worlds, turn the fight even down 1 from the start, move forward. Here we go, Galactic Legend from Demon, looking for anything at the moment. Finzi very low.
The map rotated. Yeah. They had a very unfortunate time with that.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. It's one of the unique quirks of Hell's Heaven relative to other maps. Midtown does some of the same, but Demon right now trying to do anything to put this back over the top. Self-res in from Andre, and oh, the horn is huge. Ends up resulting in 2 strategists going down. However, the Karmic Revival out here from Andre. The fight not over yet. Andre might be down himself, but the Karmic Revival getting everyone back into the fray. Demon pick it up where he left off, takes down Dreedro immediately.
They need to pick right now. They need to pick right now. They need more picks because, I mean, sure, they get 1, but they need a little bit more, but there's so much pressure here led by Nevix, just making sure they don't run away. There's going to be also the next G chart, making sure they can't leave with the movement ability, just pretty much gone, the immobilization. And sure, they're getting some more sustain, they're getting some more revivals here, but there's just no damage. There's no ults. And Ex Oblivione, I mean, they just, off losing the first fight, which is always like a very, very hard situation here on domination, they've been on the back foot the entire rest of this time. They had no control of the flanks. If you're gonna play the triple strategist, I mean, surely you're like, people have to live, right? If I'm gonna have 3 sustaining strategists, I need to be having people live so I can like win a flank fight. And that just never happened. It never happened once.
So here's an idea. This is just thinking about Ex Oblivione and their team identity. They might be more of a download team where the map 1 is just sort of a gimme as they get online, because you think back to even the first series that we saw here, right? Ex Oblivione got blown out on map 1, and then they did have the adaptations. Map 2 came right back into it, but
so they're reducing the fog of war on the first map. On the first map, they're not protecting any heroes, protecting no picks. They come out, they lose, then they push up their glasses and they say, "I've got you now. I understand it now."
Yes.
And then it just all reverses, huh?
They've turned into a full-on either anime protagonist or villain. Really, it breaks both ways. But look, no other ways of sugarcoating it. That was a rough opening. We'll see if things change a bit here in a second. And already, they are deciding to go with 2 Vanguards rather than 1. So, bit of a change-up. And also, as far as supports go, no more Warlock. Demon, the unassisted Star-Lord. Instead, more traditional Loki Luna.
And this is a comp that they had a lot of success with, too, when they played this earlier, when they played Hell's Heaven. With the Thing, having the Magneto, trying to fight for this high ground very, very early. But I mean, Virtus.pro already here, just the damage from Sparker, the damage Redro there with the Icy Arts just piercing through, getting tons and tons of damage. I mean, they need to back up. They're on the back foot, and they're already down 2. Virtus.pro continuing to just look so incredibly strong. It just feels like there's an infinite source of damage. And it's something that Virtus.pro in particular in this region, when you watch them, is that if there is a single mistake or a single opening, they collapse on you so fast.
The focus fire at the beginning of the fight is just absolutely unreal. But here we go. Galactic Legend, Demon, into the back. Meteor M gonna be used in response, taking some of the pressure away as Jakes just gets crunched. Jakes down immediately, so is Pie Swallow, and I mean, Avast doesn't get any better here. This is just decisive.
It's also a particularly very hard point to recontest on Hell's Heaven. I mean, most of Hell's Heaven has this, I would say, just this particular design where the chokes are brutal, right? And you need to be trying to like maybe force them in on the flanks. They were hoping to do that with Demon rather, dropping the Galactic Legend, but just entirely gets eaten by Finzi's Meteor M, who absorbs the projectiles. They have the regeneration domain, so it's just completely nullified. As Ex Oblivione, I mean, they're trying to figure out, what do we do here? And they said, okay, no more Star-Lord, let's go back. Let's go back here to the Namor. Look to have a little bit of a tankier DPS. Look to have the monster spawn. Try to force some of these duelists to get off these off angles.
Well, it's 5 ultimates versus 5 ultimates, so the result of this fight likely may decide the round. But here we go. Horn out early here. Feed dropping it. No kills right yet. Nocta off the Kraken Impact gets 1. Sets up here for a little bit more. Still in reserve. Virtus.pro down 3, and you know, this is economical for Ex Oblivione too, Vast.
Also, just as importantly as that, I mean, winning the fight, finally, making sure they're not going to get capped out here entirely. And that was really well played too, because they make sure to make the space early with Passivo on the Magneto, making them turn around. And then the Hornet Proteus comes out for Phi, but the regeneration domain is out, so no one goes down, and they're able to just clean up. And that they were really, really close there, hoping the Hornet Proteus would get some, some instant elims.
Look at Ash.
As Ash looking for the clobbering time.
Yeah, this is just a classic hide behind the corner.
Yeah, they know. I mean, Virtus.pro are just like, why go through the choke? Let's go high ground. There's no reason to.
Well, the thing is not above taking the stairs. Is after a very humble superhero to the back. Clobbering time. Regeneration domain negating some of the impact there. Clobbering time out from Nevix in turn. Both teams still at 6. Jakes. Fate of both worlds gonna be popped here. Ex Oblivione holding on the fate of the map in the balance. As Virtus.pro tries to put it away. Meteor M from Finzi in over the top. Is it going to get anything? It's huge! Ends up setting up 2 with the aid of Saipe. Virtus.pro up 6-4 here. Ex Oblivione looking for anything to keep it in, but they're down 3. And the cleanup should go the way of VP and likely the map.
Oh, I mean, Virtus.pro just playing this so well. There is gonna be one final fight here for Ex Oblivione. They have to be careful not to lose anyone early. Sparker just peeking. There's gonna be a lot of poke damage coming in. Are they gonna go? Yeah, Ash is gonna go strange, so they can have the portal to touch really quickly. They do have the God of Mischief, so they're gonna have a chance to be able to get a Fate of Both Worlds out here, just get the copy from Jakes, or rather, even from Gidro, and they're waiting. They're looking. Hello? Oh, where was my portal? My portal? Where'd the portal go? What happened?
They got the Doctor Strange that was just learning portal magic, not the Doctor Strange that was actually adept at portal magic.
Everybody right click sometime.
Did they accidentally cancel the portal? They might have. I mean, I don't know if Ash is comfortable on the Strange, but that's very, also saving face. They saved face so they don't have to do that brutal stagger for the recontest.
Smart.
I mean, honestly, that's very honorable from Ex Oblivione, I guess, but
I just love the mental image of her just looking at Doctor Strange being like, come on, man.
Where is
the magic?
Cough it up. Come on.
Do the thing.
Yeah, do the thing.
Do the thing. Come on.
I mean, wait. Do we have we have a replay potentially of the portal? I mean, we're going back. So Ash, of course, obviously on thing previously, but let's keep a look. Let's keep a look here. So they're gonna make the swap. They're going to go over here knowing that they have one final fight. Ash will go strange, be like, okay, guys, I'm portaling. Now what?
Okay.
Here.
Okay, the portal begins.
There, yes, the portal begins. They canceled it. Oh, they canceled it. I know. They. Oh, look at everyone giving him the stare. Look at the stare.
Ash is getting benched. I'm calling it now. We got a deep roster. Ash, you are going to think about that mistake. No, that game was probably already over. Virtus.pro, the best team in Europe, showcasing their strength. And I just want to ask the observers, can we keep our eye on Sparker? Because I have my nephew tuning in and I told him, Matt, just watch where he puts his crosshair, because the man is hitting a critical shot every other blast. Avast, it's not just the duelist though out there. What did you learn from VP?
I mean, it's something we already knew, but their strategists their backline in general are extremely fundamentally good between Saipe and Tritro. They've always been constantly getting value here. I mean, this is also, this is just a sad time for Finzi. I'm not gonna lie, the map rotating. There's a lot of unfortunate moments here, but you're definitely right in that the strategists for Virtus.pro, they are just constantly getting value. Tritro always is hitting those absolute zeros, just getting the freezes, getting tons and tons of value, popping the ults at the right time. And Saipe on the Loki, I mean, not just hitting the clutch regeneration domains, which are so important as a Loki player, but getting damage, lots of damage with that primary fire for Loki. And I think that's something that's kind of like under noticed occasionally and sort of like flies under the radar, is that Loki actually, especially if you have multiple clones up, does a lot of damage.
I want to give a big shout out to the mods. They're working for free and they're having fun. 82% of the chat got that first map prediction correct. But ZP, now the symbiotic surface arises once again. This was game 5 as we saw our boys make it all the way through. Can Oblivione do it once again on this map? And if so, what hero should they bring out?
Well, look, I think Oblivione, they definitely can. They look way better when they get into Convoy and Convergence maps. I think this is an incredibly well-coached team. And in terms of comps, they can do it. I think anything that they can run, I think the Warlock, if they can run it again, would still be really good, regardless of whether or not they can run the Star-Lord with it. They've shown that they don't need a Groot. They banned the Groot actively. So, if they could get back to running something like a Magneto thing, I'd be happy. But also, I need to just interrupt and give a little bit of defense to Ash, where it was the map moving. The map moving interrupted the portal with just very tragic timing.
Oh,
so Ash is out
the
here.
bug.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, chat.
Thank you.
Yeah,
It was
well,
not
Ash's
Ash.
fault.
Ash, we owe you an apology. You can stay in the starting lineup. That was my bad. My fault.
It's really Hydra's fault, because they're the ones that built the space that apparently cancels astral magic, is what's actually going on.
I could smell the evil from here. Let's take a look, as Venom will not be played at all tonight by Virtus.pro or their opponents. Ex Oblivione normally gets rid of the Groot. And your Groot in 3, 2, Groot.
We'll just wait. Just give it a second. There it is.
All right.
There it is. And to be expected, especially on symbiotic surface here. I think the Groot is. We've seen a lot of Groot play, and also from Virtus.pro themselves, where you just get a ton of value from the walls, and especially on the first point when you're on the defense and even on the offense, allowing you to approach. So it makes a lot of sense. Ex Oblivione has not wanting to be playing the Groot or be playing against the Groot. So, and there is this protection on. I mean, so Human Torch was buffed today, essentially.
Thank God, because he was worthless last week.
So, impossible this could be. I mean, I'm interested to know, because I don't know what situation, just we haven't seen it, where Human Torch is going to be played over like a Storm or something, or even a Star-Lord. So maybe they have something cooking, or maybe.
Do you think he's in there for the one-shot potential, ZP? If you have 250 health, he can take you out in basically one combo.
I mean, it's hard to say. I mean, Ex Oblivione has been so much we have so many options here. This could have been something they held back for the finals. We know they can play a Storm really well from Demon. I would even go, okay, I don't think this is likely, but you talk about team-ups. What if you do the Storm Human Torch
Firestorm, baby.
Yeah, that would be ridiculous. I don't expect it. But man, you talk about like bringing out the full totality of your toolbox. That would be unreal.
By the way, if you guys come up with any alt combo names, we had Surf and Turf submitted by Uber. That definitely won. That was a Groot combined with a Namor ultimate. If you have a combo in mind, drop it in the chat. We could feature it on the stream. I was just thinking, Firestorm is kind of the default that everyone uses in matchmaking. But Farts on Fire, I was just thinking Methane. Avast, you got anything for me?
I mean, that one is a wonderful one, the Farts on Fire. I feel like Human Torch, I mean, Why? It's tough. I gotta think because I just haven't been thinking about the combo for Human Torch. There's actual playtime. What if we did a collaborating time Human Torch and we called it like the perhaps the sizzle and the smash or something? The sizzle smash? Something like that?
Ooh. I can dig it. Makes sense to me. But also, as we roll out here, it's gonna be Virtus.pro on the attack first, and we have a Widow defense. Sudi on the Widow. I'm interested, Vest. I don't know if it's great, but I'm interested.
It's a long sight line. It's a very long sight line. The ult can be pretty good once you get it up, but I mean, a Black Widow has not seen a lot of play. You're just hoping to get a ton of damage. One shot's already. Demon just getting caught off the Astral Flock, and they're just going to be able to walk here onto the point. And Sudi, I mean, probably just going to be looking as Virtus.pro just walks on top of this point.
I can tell you that chat is already going to be spamming swap Widow. It's an instinctive response from their ranked games is what you're going to see here. But I don't know. It's just a tough opening where Sudi unable to land a whole lot of shots on the Black Widow. You see Demon get instantly caught, and this is just the most free point one has ever been.
Yeah, I mean, having Ashe play the Mantis there to give that allied inspiration, to give the damage boost to Sudi, it's an interesting idea for sure. But I mean, also something to note here. I mean, the map knowledge here, knowing to use all of these just like these tendons to get up and down. The chase is very, very real here. As there's the staggers for Ex Oblivione off this. It's just gruesome. It's gruesome. I mean, here's the thing: end your spawn.
Who's the wins on the payload right now is what I want to know. When you have
it would be Saipe. It would be Saipe.
Yeah, when you have 5 members just rushing forward. Oh boy, that
me and the boys capping the point while we spawn camp.
Well, tough start for Ex Oblivione. Sudi now swapping back over to the Winter Soldier. A little bit more of a standard composition here. Demon on the Star-Lord, but Sparker again. Very early pickoff. Kraken impact to seal the deal. And Sparker's just been absolutely dominant so far, Vast.
Playing this so aggressively as well, because, and this is the best case scenario for a second point here on Symbiotic Surface, is because you get the late staggers from the forward spawn, you make sure that there's no early fight here, you hold really aggressively with the thing, just getting tons of clean damage, you pop the invisible boundary there, and they come to the entry, you know they're not going to have ults yet because there hasn't been another fight. It's just a free second point, and this is typically a somewhat hard point to cap.
I mean, this has just been the most freedom we have ever seen on Rivals Fight Night so far. This is just an absolute dominance. However, Demon, perhaps Spark of Life here, takes down Fee. Ex Oblivione moving forward. I don't know how deep you want to go in here, given that you're now fighting at the enemy spawn. It might be time to back off, but instead, they do invisible boundary right outside the spawn. See where this one goes. Galactic Legend in tow for Demon, but you lose Ashe on the Mantis early here, and okay, you still pop the Legend, and that's still not bad. You get the boundary out of it. Not the worst trade.
And you have to remember, when Ashe goes down, they're not down for that long because they're playing, they're having the revival, right? They're having the cocoon as well from Andraco. So both Demon, Ashe, and Andraco can all come back after going down. However, they're not coming back from that. Invisible Woman, unfortunately, is not coming back from that unless they pop a Karmic Revival, which they're going to do, but it might be potentially very tragic here. And maybe cleaned up.
No, that was a really timely Meteor M coming in from Passivo there. Like, it stopped the impact of the Goddess of Death, gave them time to DPS it down. They get a kill on it right after. Ashe is able to fall through, and Ex Oblivione actually getting their footing now at Vest in this last fight and a half or so.
And the great thing here too for Ex Oblivione, like as we look at the team up as they're keeping this comp, is that they can afford to pop ults to force other ults and then even give up a life. So because they know they can just use the cocoon, come back in as the Bionic Hook gets one, but however, the geometry. They have to be careful though, because Sudi playing some frontline since they are currently down a Vanguard.
Goes for the Kraken impact, unable to trigger the resets, gets punished in turn. 2 down for Ex Oblivione. Virtus.pro pushing up. You see Nevix in the back laying down haymakers. And just like that, Virtus.pro about 1 fight away now, Vast, from setting a blisteringly fast time, especially for this map, which oftentimes you don't even see fully completed.
I mean, like a 3.5 minute cap potentially, or even like a over 3 is like very, very fast. Jake's though is holding on to the barrier. Galactic Legend about to be up, so there's a chance, but I mean, ults for both sides here. Virtus.pro, they're just trying to give them no space, give them no options here. It's the clobbering time already on to Sudi.
Quick pick off, Sparker gets the reset, holding on to again Demon here in the sky. Visible boundary just ruining most of this Galactic Legend, where Galactic Legend is over. Blaster Barrage into the back. Fivo just crunching people off the flank. Sparker finishing off with the banked Kraken impact, and Virtus.pro finish this with 3 minutes and 18 seconds in the bank. That is ridiculous, Avast.
And they weren't even able to get the Soul Resurgence. I mean, Ash literally was not even able to pop an ult. Was not able to pop the ult, the Soul Resurgence, not even able to got it, because they just used the Kraken impact so deep in the spawn there. And it's just so characteristic. I mean, this fight is just so characteristic of Virtus.pro. I mean, they're just keeping the pressure on you constantly, always making sure you have no space. The focus fire is so brutal, the tempo is so high, and when you're playing a comp like that as well, with like Nevix on the thing and you have the Invisible Woman, so you're getting the team up as well, just getting extra bonus health generation to keep you in the fight even longer. I mean, it just has to feel absolutely smothering.
Also, one thing that I think is easy to overlook, even from the casting end, but I think is actually making a lot of this happen, is that yes, Fee and Sparker are playing ridiculous and getting pickoffs, but I also think part of this is that Finzi and Nevix are doing just more damage than the norm that you expect from your Vanguard. So they are setting up Fee and Sparker to get these pickoffs in a lot of these early fights, because it's just, you're not expecting the level of burst damage coming out that VP is putting down. It interrupts kind of the heal tempo that you'd otherwise have for Ex Oblivione and results in someone dying in the first 10 or 15 seconds of a fight. And the way Marvel Rivals fights break down is that unless it's someone that has a team up with Adam Warlock, you lose someone that early in a fight, especially before ultimates are built up, it's just very hard to win 5 versus 6.
Already, Oblivione just fearing the spawn spam. And this time, surely they're doing the strat again on Draco. This time going to be going to the Strange, so they're making sure to have someone that can just drop the portal and then make the swap. As, I mean, okay, they're gonna make this, what I guess the purpose of this, they're maybe faking. Were they faking the portal to make them turn so they come back in? Yeah, it was a portal fake. Okay, we're getting Valorant up in here, huh?
Yeah, I mean, right now it's just a little bit of mind games, and look, it works out. They're able to get an early pickoff from it. They set up the 6v5 for a moment. I think Virtus.pro is just gonna give up perhaps a little bit on the point, wait to get back up to full strength, do a little bit of poke in turn. Sparker right now looking to lay down some damage, but it's a nice entry so far from Ex Oblivione. Demon, though, going super, super low. Nearly gets picked off, gets healed right back up, though, in turn. Sparker firing away. Nevix, Finzi taking damage, but it's Ash just getting pummeled in the back by Fee. Nearly gets picked off. Both teams, though, still 6v6, but eventually the pressure takes hold. Jakes goes down as Nevix gets right in there.
Oh, I mean, and this is kind of the issue, I think, a bit with... Okay, the fake was beautiful. The fake was cool. I mean, you have not seen it very often, if at all, and it lets them get an early elimination. They're able to take a lot of space. But when you're playing the triple strategist, once again, I like the cloak and dagger pick because you're able to get pretty much that the vulnerability, right? You're able to get the vulnerability once you go to the cloak. So you're able to get the options to maybe burst down some targets a little bit faster, but you're still down a lot of damage, a lot of meat, like on the point. Nope, fine, gonna take down again.
Yeah, really nice early pick from Demon. I think probably set up by Sudi in turn, but here we go. Galactic Legend up 1. See if Demon gets anything here, and absolutely not. The shutdown from Finzi, massive. Stops the Galactic Legend by existing. The Meteor itself taking down 2. All momentum lost for Ex Oblivione.
And you brought it up. I mean, like, Finzi is doing both the Vanguards. They're just doing so much damage. But in particular, Magneto is a very high damage Vanguard. Extremely high damage. Probably, I mean, I would imagine it's just him and Strange that do by far the most damage, along with the Thing, if you're able to, like, get a lot of cleaves. And they recently had that buff a while back, as Nevix might want to look to engage, set up the clobbering time here. Is Oblivione, they're going to have some strategy ults. They're going to have some options available, but we're pretty much approaching the crunch time pretty soon.
I enjoy how Nevix keeps solo W, but here we go. The flanking thing. It's clobber time, right to the back line. Drops it over in. Soul Bond out, though. Pretty well timed from Adam Warlock. Might remove the worst of it, but Sparker's still able to get 1. Kraken Impact resets in. 2, though. 3 down in favor of Ex Oblivione. They get the resurrection off, too, courtesy of Adam Warlock. So really well played fight from Ex Oblivione, even with the Nevix flank.
There's the Soul Resurgence coming on in. There's going to be the vulnerability, too, from Jakes, trying to find one target to burst down, but they do have the bubble still, getting a ton of space. And finally, it looks like they're going to have the time that they need. Jakes getting to clean up their kind of the Goddess of Death just to secure the point. Maybe a little bit more contest. No, they're not even going to bother. Could get some staggers. They will get some staggers. And this is what they need. They need to get some chase downs right here, ZP. They have to.
Well, don't forget too,
Ideally.
I mean, Ex Oblivione, not only do they need to complete the map, they have to do it with some time left because Virtus.pro did it with an enormous amount of time left, but the staggers are big. And you think back to just a round ago, right? Virtus.pro did lots and lots of staggering at Ex Oblivione's expense. I don't think they're going to get that many staggers, but the ones they did do help them set up for this very
No, they're going to get another fight. They're getting another, unlike Ex Oblivione on their defense, they will actually get a fight before the last point. And so they're going to be fighting for the high ground here first. Pretty early on Draco, very, very low. Galactic Legend going to be used, but I mean, Regeneration Domain's up, which means it's going to be pretty hard to get a pick off that.
I mean, if nothing else, you get the Regeneration Domain out, but Sudi falls in turn. Andre decides to res themselves. Sparker from the Blaster Barrage, Redro on the Passivo, and Demon still making some things happen here. So is Andre off the res. Also, get Demon in off the combo. And the Karmic Revival is out right now. It's still something that Ex Oblivione is actually taking the tempo from here at Vast.
I mean, so much credit here to Demon. Demon just doing so much damage. I mean, 50% to another Galactic Legend. Armor Time gonna go out and Draco down. That's a lot of heals on the board here, but they're still sustaining, staying alive. Demon doesn't have to fear, does not have to be that afraid because they are gonna have that Cocoon still available as Fi. It gets pretty much immediately bursted down, so it does not get much.
Be immediately brought to ground. Demon in on Demon, though, finally falling as Sparker on the Star-Lord himself, Galactic Legend. Gonna be a bit of cleanup now for Virtus.pro, putting a stop to the payload. So one fight away from finishing off second, but again, Avast, the thing I will continue to hammer here is that the time is so rough for Ex Oblivione because not only do they need to succeed, but they're still way behind where VP was just one round ago.
And now they're coming here into a much more set up Virtus.pro for the second point, and they still have bolts. I mean, sure, Demon gonna hold on to the Galactic Legend for this fight, but Finzi can just be a free pop of the, pop the Meteor M, absorb a lot of the damage without even having to use a Strategy Ult necessarily. And you see Virtus.pro just being so aggressive here, trying to force it, but they're gonna get cleaned up. Sparker maybe getting a little too big for his britches.
Yeah, Sparker was a little bit too deep. They drop the Soulbound at the right time. They immediately dive in, use the Blaster Barrage, a little bit of extra damage. Now, a little bit of disengage. They don't want to fight into the invisible boundary, but as soon as it's gone, it's Galactic Legend time. Demon in over the top. Meteor M out in response. Delays a decent amount of it. Still, a little bit left in the tank. Jakes, though, gets picked. Fee got to the back line. Now down to his Ex Oblivione. 45 seconds left. They need the reset here at best.
I mean, they absolutely have to, but they're still going to be getting staggered. See the Cocoon coming out. Might be able to get another. No, they're not. They're not. Demon going to make it out. I mean, last fight territory. Goddess of Death going to be up. They'll pretty much, they're going to have the Eternal Bond. They're going to have, hopefully, a Karmic Revival. So they have some options. But Virtus.pro, I have no doubt they're just going to look to just set an early trap, have Fee on the sidelines, just look for an instant engage, an instant execute, while Sparker just dives in with a bubble.
Well, also, they have pressure. They have to just get on the convoy to start with and not give up any picks in neutral, but they open up here, Eternal Bond, saying the way, all the way to the payload. They're going to be able to touch it. Now the pressure on the Fee. Fee getting really low, stays alive, able to take down Jakes instead of falling. Oh boy, meanwhile, Nevix into the back line crunching, but that's a huge Karmic Revival. Everyone back into the fray. Ex Oblivione not done yet. And the value that Andre just got from the Karmic Revival, massive. And yet Nevix goes to the high ground, surprises Sudi with, the back massage no one ever wanted, able to go to the back, and Ex Oblivione right now, Avast, hanging in there, 5 still alive.
Oh, finally, Fee, look for the pick there again, and Demon looking for that, watching for the flank, gonna punish, and now they're down 1. They have the Soul Resurgence here too, so there is sustain, but they have to be worried about the clobbering time. They have to be careful, and the clobbering time, oh my gosh, it does find 1.
Invisible boundary dropped here by Virtus.pro into the Meteor M. Ex Oblivione cannot stay on the point, and that is map 2 going the way of Virtus.pro, already putting them on match point in our EU money match.
And it's just, the comps are unique, right? Ex Oblivione, they're trying to run this triple strategist. It's a very interesting idea, but I mean, the thing I think honestly is just an answer to that in many capacities because of the fact that the triple strategy is so vulnerable to him getting to the back line. He's just doing so much cleave damage. You're constantly building clobbering times to just stun everyone, even with the soul bond up for the Adam Warlock. It's just not going to be enough. And you're missing like having something like the regeneration domain, right? The regen domain arguably much more effective at keeping people alive in the soul bond and just output so much more healing, and they're just missing that. They're missing the damage as well. I mean, you would think that, oh, Adam Warlock puts out a ton of damage as part of his kit, right? But also you're missing like the ability to control high ground. You're missing the ability to teleport, to swap between do the devious exchange. And I think that it was felt a lot there, where they just could not get enough value until they're just pretty much waiting for a karmic revive. And sure, you keep the fight going, but like, what are you getting out of it, right? Like, what are the other ults you're building, the other team's building in the meantime?
I think the big thing for me, though, when you compare the two teams so far after 2 maps, is that the neutral gameplay from Virtus.pro has been significantly above Ex Oblivione, where obviously a lot of Marvel Rivals really relays around the idea of how you cycle your ultimates and your ult economy. But you know what's better than even having good ult economy at Vast? Getting a pick off before anyone presses Q. And Virtus.pro was just doing that reliably in fight after fight, whether it be an early pick on to Jake's, an early pick onto Ashe, or even onto Sudi or Demon, right? A lot of this was, you know, again, it's the overwhelming damage being put out by the front line of Nevix and Finzi, but also the accuracy coming in from Sparker and Fee. It's just pressure on a level that we didn't see in our first match.
And it's 100% a great call out there too, because I mean, just you see Fee, just in particular in a lot of those early highlights, where they are completely unafraid to fight the flank extremely aggressively, knowing that you're going to be saved by your strategist, knowing that you'll be able to use the Astral Flock to just kind of like back out. A little cutesy moments there with the Cocoon, with the revival. But I do think that that is a very, very important call out there, is just that your Hela, especially when you're playing around the Hela, has to be the person to make the moves on the flank to get those picks. And that's something that Virtus.pro does really, really well.
That was a fun matchup. I thought we were going to see a longer game than we did. Virtus.pro coming out, steamrolling on the attack. They set the tone throughout 2 maps. We're now on match point. But ZP, before we get to the path, let's talk a little bit about the dominance we just witnessed. Does Virtus.pro have the best strategist line, the best back line in Marvel Rivals right now?
You know, best backline, if they don't, they're at the very least in the top 3, because what Saipan and Drido do is easy to underrate, right? Where we talk a lot about the Vanguards, we talk a lot about, you know, what the duelists are doing, but the reality is that you're not alive to do the things they do, to play aggressively as they do, without players like Saipai keeping people alive. And I'll highlight Saipai too, because when Saipai's been playing things like the Loki, right? The regeneration domains have been so well timed to basically give you an edge in the ult economy, even without using an ult of your own at times, right? And it just, you cannot underrate that impact on the rest of your team, where playing well from the strategist end makes everyone else look way better.
I like that call out. Shout out to the chat. They were arguing. Is it Fee? Is it Fi? Is it Fo? Is it Fum? It is officially rhyming with Pi. Fi is our guy. So far, if you watched back the OG matchup against Virtus.pro in the Marvel Rivals Invitational, they went after Fi. They were trying to shut down his Hela. Avast, can I do that right now? Is it too late in the game?
It definitely, it can be done. I mean, even Demon was doing it there in the map. I mean, on the Star-Lord chasing down. It's just, the problem is that if you're not controlling a high ground, right? If you're playing reactively to the Hela, it gets really hard, because Hela's just gonna peek, pop, pop, Soul Drainer, pop, and then like, okay, one person dead, Astral Flak, goodbye, like I'm gone. And sure, you can go for the chase after that fact, but I think realistically, proactively, you want to be controlling the flanks a lot more into the Hela versus trying to react, because of how much burst damage she does currently, and she has the ability to get away after getting the pick too. So it's hard to react versus being proactive.
Virtus.pro is not going to get bullied by Logan tonight. Venom also is not going to annoy their backline. On the other side, it looks like Groot will never get played against Ex Oblivione. ZP, what do you want to see different, if anything, going into the ban and protects? This is your second map choice in a row if you're Oblivione.
Look, I think you have to target obvious things that are giving you trouble. And the
Winter
obvious
Soldier?
things to me, yes, Winter Soldier. That is exactly where I was going. Ban Bucky. Sparker's far too good at, or at a minimum, get rid of Hela, just because the combination of the two has just been causing you to lose so many fights in the neutral before it even begins. I think you have to at least target that end of the Virtus.pro lineup. You're on match point, your back is against the wall, change up something here, and I would say go in that direction.
Avast, what do you want to see going into this next one?
Honestly, I'd like to see Forever make it back. They were playing this solo tank with Passive. Like, yeah, maybe just potentially not run the triple strategist option, just because I feel like a triple strategist is, in my personal opinion, when I look at like the Adam Warlock comps, you're running into an issue. Just sometimes you're just down in the ult economy because you have a Karmic Revival, which is a good ult, nothing wrong with it, but you would love to have some more strategist ults that are giving direct healing, direct sustain, direct damage boost, right? So I would kind of like to see some options potentially for them to just get off the triple strategist, bring in Forever, play more 2-2 standard, and just see, and also like ZP said, I think maybe target some of those like really crucial duelist bans there for VP. I think if you do those two things, there might be a chance. I think there's definitely a real chance there to make that comeback, because I just don't think the triple strategist right now is giving them what they need.
I think chat nailed it. Get rid of the Mantis. She is not worth her weight in gold, even if she gets a free revival. Mantis will be in the game most likely, though, if you're Ex Oblivione, and I want to see if they can make this work, because they seem to be going around the Star-Lord. They seem to feel like they can keep up. I feel like you got to change up the comps completely here. ZP, can you dive on Virtus.pro? Can you poke them to death? I feel like the tanks or the Vanguards are too good.
The Vanguards have been very good. Also, I think there's a reason why you look at Virtus.pro and the bans where they are just doing the same bans regardless of who they're up against, right? Where they decide, we're getting rid of Venom, we're getting rid of Wolverine. They get rid of a way of just interrupting their tank synergy with the Wolverine. Okay, but they got rid of the Magneto now. Interesting. This, I feel like, is a map-specific thing because of how well we saw Passive play in the previous series. That's my only explanation for this, because generally I would go from the idea for Virtus.pro, if it's working, don't change it. But for Ex Oblivione Puckett, they got rid of the Hela. That's a change I do like to see.
All right, so Hela is off the map. They've been listening to the broadcast of Vast. Now, what do they protect? Game one, they didn't protect anything.
I mean, at this point, I'm worried in general. I don't know if there's like maybe a Star-Lord protect even, just to make sure they keep playing Star-Lord, but I don't think Virtus.pro would ever get rid of it. A Namor. Okay, a Namor protection. I mean, that's, I don't mind that at all. I think he's very, very strong on path, in particular on Eagle path, just because you can use the blessings of the deep, you can use the bubble to get up the high ground, to set up all the monster spawn, to look for picks in the back line, and Groot being protected. Now that has to be a bit of a nightmare.
Oh, nope, they're going back to the Wolverine. So they say, we are not worried about the Namor, and we're definitely going to be playing with Groot in the game.
Yeah, and I think this makes sense. Again, Wolverine is such a wild card that if you don't normally play Wolverine, you just don't want to deal with it if you can. You want to keep things as standard to what you're playing as possible. Letting the Groot through, I wonder if this is a big mistake from Ex Oblivione. I mean, we did say they need to change things up, and on one hand, they don't have to worry about Fee just being a terror, or Phi rather, being a terror on the Hela. But now they have to worry about Nevix, who is a Groot god in turn. So they've traded one bad matchup perhaps for another, but we'll see. This is the map they look strongest on versus OG just a series ago. So if Oblivione is going to bring it back on any map, it would be here on the path.
I love that we're all afraid to say the first word in the path outside of Uber. He crushed it. I'm never going to attempt it. If you're Swedish, tell me how to pronounce it in the chat right now. In the meantime, shout out to Virtus.pro. They are one map away from $1,000, and we just hit over 1,000 viewers once again on Rivals Fight Night over on Twitch.tv. Do us a favor, if you're here for the first time, hit that follow button. We're live every Thursday. You can check us out going live at 4 p.m. Eastern, 10 o'clock over there in the UK. Let's jump into this one. ZP, Avast for what could be the final game from Europe.
That's right. Virtus.pro, one map away from the $1,000 and the title of champion once more, which of course would make them the champion heading into next week. It's not just the prize money, Avast. You keep your spot.
I'm gonna say though, I know those stakes are all important and all, but this really is the Gaslight stream, because I have been saying the Yggdrasil path, by the way. I've been saying that. Just want to point that out. So this really is the Gaslight stream, just a little bit, as Virtus.pro here. Advancing.
Is Avast talking? Is he muted?
No, I haven't heard anything from Avast this entire time.
Oh, yeah, we heard nothing. Yeah. Yeah, just me in the rubber room, bouncing up against the walls. As Ex Oblivione losing Demon pretty early, and they are going to be playing this Cloak and Dagger, hoping to get some of the vulnerabilities. I mean, they're going to have the res because they still have the Adam Warlock, but I mean, the pressure from Virtus.pro again. ZP, it's just absolutely brutal.
Also, the Hawkeye. Making the Hawkeye look good, setting up Sparker for kills. Right now, Phi just doing it all.
As Ex Oblivione, I mean, they see this and they're like, okay, like we cannot play our comp. We need to get a Hulk. We need to have some options to potentially pressure out that Hawkeye there for 5. And exactly what they're going to do. Get a little team up here for Forever as well. So that means that they can stack up, you know, that dark magic, not get the anti-heal, do a little bit more damage as well with the stacks. It's Ex Oblivione trying to make it in, but they're getting walled. They're getting walled, and they're going to have to rotate, and they luckily managed to make the contest.
They just barely touched there. The combination of group walls and strange portals will try and block off all engagements. But here's Sparker, the Kraken impact, locked, ready to go. He's armed, he's dangerous. And does he get a reset? He does. Reset, good to go. 3 pickoffs here for Virtus.pro. Will be the point and then some. There's almost no one left to drop it again on.
And you have to look at this just like the comp here for Virtus.pro. I mean, we're just looking at like kind of like the meme format of like, oh, what's that? Like, what's that? Like Ex Oblivione, you're making all these cutesy comps with the Adam Warlock, and oh, you have the triple strategist. Oh, this is fun. Look, cool team up. Virtus.pro, Chad Winter Soldier, just cracking impacts. Like it doesn't matter. Like they're keeping a very similar style. Now I will say, I mean, the Hawkeye obviously not typically seen in the more popular comps, but still very strong for a map with huge sightlines like this. So you see Ex Oblivione trying to make the engage happen yet again. They're going to have a lot of the bank here. They're trying to find one. Not quite finding anyone just yet.
They do a Soul Resurgence, Galactic Legend. However, Virtus.pro answering in turn. Agamotto gonna be dropped. Blast Barrage in right now from Demon, trying to get anyone down low. And it's gonna be Hawkeye dropping his ult. Under pressure though, can't really shoot the images right away. And almost goes down, but the healing is sublime. Saipe keeping people up in the backline. Even as Virtus.pro bends, they do not break yet, Avast.
And to make sure to remove that wall, there we go. Forever just going to be using the Cloak of Levitation, Strangling Prison up into the back, finding one. I mean, that's value. Just getting just one key strategist pick, that's all you need. See, the Karmic Revival is going to come in here, but Virtus.pro, they're just going to walk on forward. They know they can try to find some picks here off the Karmic Revival. Not finding anyone just yet, as you see. Ash making it back and back in here. Looking to find one. The ult is going to be up empowering the Hulk, but really not finding anything on this at all.
And they're going to get staggered on top of it. So VP just absolutely moving through the second point here. And I mean, even recontest, this is a long walk back of us. I'm not sure they get the recontest because they shouldn't have a portal back just yet. Maybe they're able to touch. It's just going to be really tough though to even touch without giving up an immediate pickoff and still dooming yourself.
Also just they're not going to let them touch for free. I mean, they're just going to sit here. They're going to put a lot of pressure early with the root walls. They do have the Thorn Lash right above the choke. The Galactic Legend going to be used, but they have the regen domain. They have the ult from Tridro, so everyone's just going to survive through this.
Virtus.pro sitting pretty right now. Visible boundary gonna fall. Nevix ready to put people in jail one more time. Strangling Prison, good to go. Saipe, God Mischief used. Agamotto dropped by Forever. Can Ex Oblivione get any pickoffs from this? So far the answer is no. Finzi, meanwhile, Eye of Agamotto sets up Dredro and Sparker into the back. Point 2, done.
Well, they say an eye for an eye makes the world blind, and I think that is definitely true for Ex Oblivione, because the second eye, I mean, it was humongous. It was absolutely gigantic from Finzi, and it was really just a huge ult bank from Virtus.pro coming in there. They put a lot of early pressure, force cooldowns from Ex Oblivione. You see, like, hoping they can get anything. And Ash, sure, gonna have yet another opportunity to be on the Monster Hulk here, get that World Breaker, but I mean, it's just, they need something else. They need something going on. It looks like it's going to be a Rocket Raccoon, actually, for Draco. They've got off that team up, and they're going to put Demon here onto the Punisher, hoping to get that infinite ammo, that fire rate team up buff as they look for the contest.
Well, that's a little bit unfortunate, where Hawkeye pops the ult and immediately dies. It's like, I never miss, but also never shoot a shot. Technically accurate, as it turns out. But VP still trying to recover.
And the engage was good. The engage was good there. I mean, they pop the Hulk ult, just make sure they can burst one down. They get the extra empowerment there, as you see Bionic Hook coming out. But they got bubbles. They have guards. All just fine for Ex Oblivione, as they're going to look to hold. Probably just look to pop the CYA here, the Amplifier, as Virtus.pro rounds the corner. Look to force the Strategist ult. And this corner, it's a very tough piece of geometry. Getting into this last point, there's just so much geometry to work around.
The loser Strange immediately. This is going to be tough because you want to use Punisher ult here, but also you don't have protection for it, and that's what happens when you don't have protection for the Punisher ult. You just simply fall over. It's a ult that's very difficult to make work at times, and Sparker right now just rolling into the back without a care in the world. The heals just keep flooding on in.
Oh, Sudi. I mean, they forever sitting there trying to just rotate the shield, uses the Trooper's Fist to get to the Mega, but still just not enough. Sparker just walking, and there's the portals on the spawn as well. The Strangling Prison from Nevix. It just has to feel so bad because Virtus.pro they're just oppressive with their utility usage. They're oppressive with the ults. Both their duelists are not afraid to take extremely aggressive fights, feel extremely confident, especially Sparker when you're getting just the bonus health from using any of your abilities. It has to feel like you're at like a David Goliath situation, except in this time, this pretty much this case, David is not winning. They don't have the proper sling setup.
I think that's something that's worth noting too. Something, particularly when you compare pro play to perhaps your ranked games, is that the level of support that your DPS players get at this level of play is quite high. And, no better example of that than what Virtus.pro just did, where you see Sparker taking damage, but also not taking damage at the same time. Just gets to walk up, lay in shot after shot, get pickoff after pickoff, and it just escalates from there. But, repeat the stakes here. It's a very strong attack coming in from Virtus.pro. Ex Oblivione, now at a minimum of Ast, must finish the map to keep their hopes alive here in our money match on Rivals Fight Night. All comes down to this.
And that was also still a very, not the fastest cap I've ever seen, but a very quick cap here for Yggdrasil Path as well for Virtus.pro. So they have a lot of time in their bank to work with. Ex Oblivione obviously backs as well as Demon looking to make the chance. Yeah, and it looks like they may want to do a little bit of a Hawkeye poking. Little two Hawkeyes on the same field.
Hawkeye for Hawkeye. You said it was an eye for an eye, but what about a Hawkeye for a Hawkeye?
That's true. We got 4 eyes. We got 2 eyes Agimoto. We got 2 Hawkeyes. There are 4 eyes out here. Nerd emoji.
Yeah, pretty much. It's where we've got to here. But Hawkeye, if nothing else, one more volatile heroes in the game. One way of getting pickoffs in the neutral. We'll see if Demon can match the performance that we've seen from Fi here so far. But test number 1 for Ex Oblivione, the Choke of Doom here on Yggdrasil Path, as Finzi immediately takes down Ash, and not a great omen to kick things off here as Virtus.pro gets 2 quick pickoffs.
And definitely a lot more traditional comp, I would say, out of Ex Oblivione. Something we've seen a lot. Putting Draco back onto the Loki. Even putting Ash onto the Groot here to counter the Groot. It's not nearly as, I'd say, unique as we've seen from them in some of the previous matchups. So, and this is where I think Virtus.pro is going to thrive. They're going to be happy for that because, oh, finally, we're playing some good old-fashioned Marvel Rivals here.
I still wonder about the ideas, you got rid of the Hela, but the Groot has also been such a problem so far. Oh, boy. The hook in. Ash. Though the support on Ash is pretty good. Strategist keeping him nice and healthy. Gotta look here for Andre, this kickoff here with the God of Mischief, probably gonna be the first ultimate used by Ex Oblivione, as right now they just walk forward. Invisible Boundary gonna be cloned in early on. They get down Fi early. Man advantage now for Ex Oblivione. Counter Boundary gonna be out here from Virtus.pro as they look to hang on. Finzi, Eye of Agamotto, Sparker, Kraken Impact. So far, Ex Oblivione hanging in here, Avast.
Oh, but Sudi going in, getting immediately shut down. You see Finzi has so much dark magic stacks here right now, just dropping the Maelstrom, and they're down a lot of damage. With, someone else, rather with Sudi off the field, it's up to Demon to maybe get one. The Hawkeye will use, Strangling Prison used as well. Can they get anyone? Maybe. The split on the region domain guarantees they can get Redro as well, so this is big. This is exactly what they needed.
Agamotto dropped here for Ex Oblivione, but instead it's just forever falling in turn. Made no one blind that time. Sparker working the outside, finds Jakes. Virtus.pro masterfully staying in this fight, forcing Ex Oblivione to another reset and what could be their second to last fight of the tournament.
Oh, Ash desperately taking all the heal. Luckily, Sudi makes it back. It's 2 on the high ground. Those kills, giving them the chance to make it back in. Good wall here as well, denying some of that counter damage. Needs some extra damage there from the Thorn Lash. Just forever on the Captain America here, looking to get some extra pressure onto the Hawkeye, onto the back line.
Strangling Prison drop the fall through there. Jake's down. Invisible Boundary coming in from Ex Oblivione. A little bit too late to save, but Nevix goes down in turn. 5-on-5, still winnable here for Ex Oblivione. The emergency Captain America swap. Also Vest coming on in. But it's Sparker. Kraken Impact. The back-breaking play from Sparker, leaving Ex Oblivione with only 1 minute left in their tournament life, perhaps.
And you had to be thinking, if you're Ex Oblivione there, oh, we have it. We've walled the chokes. We've walled the recontest. We have a Strangling Prison. We got some picks from Sudi, but Sparker moment. It's just a Sparker moment now. Everyone's set back up. They still do hold on to the Strangling Prison, and Demon making a swap over to Moon Knight for the Hand of Khonshu, just for the opportunity, the option to hopefully drop an ult, just insta-burst anyone through any sort of strategist opportunity. But I mean, you can't just run away from it. You can't get away. There's even some opportunity if your Doctor Strange to shield it a bit, shield that damage. Forces being used, but instead, Forever Found.
Aggressive Agamotto just takes them down immediately, but Avast, it's so decisive with 23 seconds left.
They're gonna portal spawn. They're gonna portal spawn.
They're going for blocking off. I mean, there's still a third way out. You can't fully block off here, but it's gonna delay them 15 seconds. Is this delay from Finzi, the portal architect, enough for $1,000? Portal off on the other side from Forever. It comes on out. Is Ex Oblivione gonna be able to touch?
I mean, they have to go through the portal.
Coming out with the Hawkeye ult. They're able to touch, but they run into the blunder, courtesy of Hawkeye. Overtime, ticking on down. The rest of Ex Oblivione trying to get over to the convoy. Will they make it? They do. They get on in. They call the prayer of the Khonshu, but nothing happens. Virtus.pro still holding strong on the convoy. Here comes Sparker. Do we begin as we end? Kraken impact into the back line. Looking for anything right now. Has one so far. Virtus.pro hanging on, $1,000 at stake. Ex Oblivione desperately trying to keep their life on the line here, but instead it's Fi grabs another two. Virtus.pro will be your Rivals Fight Night champions for EU 2 weeks in a row.
And even with the last ditch efforts there, I mean, they even staggered themselves perfectly to go through the portal waiting. They only make sure to send the Invisible Woman to drop that ult on the point, and it just wasn't enough. A Virtus.pro, there's a reason they're the champion back-to-back here for Rivals Diamonds. They've been a champion in Europe. The team is so clinical. It's so dominant. Everyone not only is playing their role perfectly, but everyone is a monster in terms of doing damage, in terms of getting value out of their utility, out of their ults. It's just oppressive.
Yeah, and I think the key for Virtus.pro is that, again, while the duelists are going to get a lot of focus because they're the ones getting a lot of the killing blows, it doesn't happen without spot-on heals from the strategists and without arguably one of the most fearsome front lines we've seen with Finzi and Nevix on the Vanguards, continually setting up for pickoffs and holding Ex Oblivione at bay the entire series long.
I think Chad said it best. Please move to NA so we can give Virtus.pro some competition. Ayo, EU, you got one team at the top of the leaderboard and they are bullying everybody out. Shout out to Ex Oblivione. They put up a good fight. It went to round 5 against OG Esports, but when you play the champs, you're gonna get rolled, especially if you let Sparker play his main all match long. Avast, talk me through the highlights, though. If I'm a Virtus.pro fan, I got 3 more maps in the books of dominant gameplay.
I mean, the highlights here, if you're a Virtus.pro fan, is you're kind of like Scrooge McDuck diving into the vault, and it's just gold everywhere because it's all highlights. I mean, the team looks incredible across the board. There is no weak spot. There is nothing like, oh man, I wish they did this better. It's essentially playing perfect Marvel Rivals as it currently exists. And I think my personal pick would be like, oh, I mean, obviously we looked at like strategists playing well, and we give a lot of love to Sparker, but I really love how Fi played today. I think Fi's just flexibility across the board, Hela, Hawkeye. It's something that you want to see on your duelist pick. And of course, obviously the Vanguards. I mean, I said everything's a highlight. It all looked great. I mean, Nevix and Finzi are putting out damage that you normally see from duelist players on those roles. So there just is no, I guess, lack of riches. If you're a Virtus.pro fan, you should all just be happy. You should be getting like, oh my gosh, it's a 2 cake scenario. It's not just 1 cake. We have all the food in the world. We're eating great.
Buy your jersey now. I don't think you're going to see any changeover in this starting lineup. ZP, question from the chat. I don't know if it's hyperbole or is it a fact. Are these the 6 best players in their role and on their main in Europe?
Again, so it's always
Finzi, the best Strange on the planet. Sparker, the best Winter Soldier on the planet. Tridro, the best Invisible Woman or Luna on the planet. What do you got for me? Or at least on the continent?
So within the continent, I think it's hard to make a case against it right now with how dominant Virtus.pro has been. I think if you go worldwide, I think the players, especially on 100 Thieves and Sentinels, would have a lot to say about it. But you cannot take anything away from the dominance Virtus.pro has had in EU. It's almost like the maps they lost to OG Esports in the Marvel Rivals Invitational was a wake-up call where they decided to come in here today and play even better. And it was a masterclass to watch start to finish. And, you know, one of the few teams, I think, in Marvel Rivals that is a truly complete team from top to bottom.
We got our replays ready. Let's take a look at some of the best moments. Shout out to our highlight team. Incredible production. Once again, this is Marvel Rivals Fight Night week number 2. We're coming at you every Thursday, and the Rivals Fight Night crew, they're crushing it. This was a well-known glitch, I'm told. It was not just on the Strange, but the last-minute portal not going through leads to a VP early stage win. From there, Ex Oblivione had map picked. What do we think of this choice, Bast?
I mean, they tried to flex their flexibility. I honestly, and though it sounds really silly that sentence, but it's the truth. You know, they try to pull out something a little cutesy. They were playing some Black Widow. They were running this triple strategist, putting Ashe on the Mantis, and it unfortunately just didn't pay off. I mean, the power here from Virtus.pro is that they have constant aggression, just constant damage, and when you were dealing with players that also are putting out duelist level damage on the Vanguard with Nevix and Finzi, it's just really hard to make some of these more, I would say, interesting comps work, because there's just such an unbeatable amount of just united front and united focus fire.
Dredro, by the way, put up around 11,500 damage in that map number 2. 2 of the 3 strategists put up 12,000 combined. So basically 1v2. He also had more heals than those 2 combined. Let's take a look though at map number 3, ZP, because this is where VP sealed the deal. It was tight at every checkpoint.
Yeah, and I mean, VP, there are a few points where they got challenged by Ex Oblivione, but overall, I think the standout to me was you take a look at Fi breaking out the Hawkeye and making it work, where you go, okay, they've banned the Hela. Guess what? I gotta bring back the old Season 0 classic in Hawkeye. I don't care if I do a little bit less damage. I'm still gonna get pickoffs that I need. But also, how could you not when you have players like Finzi landing key Eye of Agamotto's, Nevix with great strangling prisons? I mean, again, you're set up for greatness if you are a duelist on Virtus.pro. It's just fantastic.
Great stuff across the board. They are our best team. And who is the best player on the day? Well, Vast and ZP unanimously chose Fi. Why is he our guy, ZP?
Well, Fi's our guy because not only was the Hela play so devastating that they decided they wanted to ban the Hela over banning the Winter Soldier, but you brought out the Hawkeye, and not only did you not look bad, you looked great. And you know what else looked great that we got to bring up on broadcast as we go through the MVP highlights? Seagull dropping us the raid. Thank you so much, Seagull, for all the support. The flock coming to town as we get ready to go into NA pretty soon.
Flock, it's time to eat well, and if you're hungry, I need you to smash that follow button, because we are going to be bringing you meal after meal of delicious Rivals footage every Thursday, starting at 4 p.m. Eastern, 10 p.m. over in the UK. Let's take a look at what happened in Europe. It is done. It is dusted. 5 maps later, Ex Oblivione earned the opportunity to play Virtus.pro for the $1,000 in EU Rivals Fight Night title. Virtus.pro now 7-0 in finals. They have not dropped a map in Europe. Moving over to NA though, when we come back, 100 Thieves with a brand new signing, FlyQuest with a fresh roster. We'll tell you all about it on the other side of the break.